Recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I yield as much time as he may consume. My good friend and ranking member, Mr. DeFazio of Oregon.
The gentleman from Oregon is recognized for such time as he may consume.
I thank the gentleman, the ranking member of the subcommittee. I thank him for his excellent work on this bill, as I do the subcommittee chair and the full committee chairman. This is a bill very much in the tradition of the Transportation Committee, where, in fact, we have come together and put together a bipartisan proposal to reauthorize the Federal Emergency Management Agency, a critical agency, as you've heard from some of the previous speakers. In particular, in the West, we have some issues regarding wildfires. We had the worst wildfire season on record last year. 10 million acres burned. Half the Forest Service budget went to fighting these wildfires, and the perversity of that is that when astounding amounts of money like that are required from the Forest Service has to reduce other budgets, including preventative activities, particularly fuel reduction and other activities that would prevent future fires. So we're on this endless cycle that should end. Unfortunately, this bill doesn't end that. I hope that happens later in the Congress. There's a legislation pending in both the House and the Senate that we've come close to moving that would deal with declaring that catastrophic fires are disasters, just like tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, floods, etc. But in this bill, we did make some progress. It makes state and private lands eligible for hazard mitigation assistance after wildfires. It's a common sense solution to save on future disaster costs and losses. The bill also encourages states to direct the funds to the areas that experienced the wildfire. I thank our colleague Congressman Ruiz from California for his extraordinary leadership on this issue. You have a fire, and particularly in California and elsewhere, you have potential for catastrophic mudslides, future catastrophes, putting the public at risk. And hazard mitigation assistance on wildfires on state and private lands, encouraging wildfire mitigation, such as reducing hazardous fuels, reseeding ground cover, will help reduce the costs of future disasters. Further, there's other legislation in other provisions in this legislation that deal with the potential for catastrophic earthquake and tsunami. The Cascadia subduction zone off the coast of Oregon, Northern California, has generated at least 12 major great earthquakes, magnitude 8 to 9. Yet we are woefully prepared in terms of any sorts of early detection. We have just begun the rudiments with some federal assistance of a land-based early detection system. We need an ocean-based early detection system, such as the Japanese have deployed. Early warning of the quake and tsunamis will save many lives on the coast of Oregon, Washington, Northern California. It will also save tremendous amounts in terms of infrastructure in the inland and more distant areas who would have ample warning to shut down transit systems, get people off bridges, stop elevators in high-rise buildings, and otherwise accommodate the public, and preventing more loss of life and also more catastrophic problems. Again, Japan is far ahead of us. They can and have stopped their high-speed rail trains when they have distant warning of a coming tremor. Even though the tremors move quickly through the earth, there's enough time to slow or stop those trains. They have had time to evacuate the coastal areas, although unfortunately in the last quake, and now they're taking care of this, when they re-estimated the size of the tsunami, they found out the communications were down. Now they've moved to a cellular-based network to notify people the tsunami is coming and to get them to high ground. So we can and should do a lot more there, and this bill opens the door to those sorts of programs here in the United States of America. And finally, it gives assurances, well, two more points, to states and local governments. They will be reimbursed up to a certain amount for costs incurred during disaster recovery. This will encourage local governments to undertake new mitigation projects, which are both a good deal for the federal government and for taxpayers. Mitigation saves $3 to $4 for every dollar invested. And finally, we have a power play by a minor federal agency attempting to make FEMA become the National Land Use Planning Agency of the United States, trying to force FEMA to deny flood insurance to states that don't follow the directories of the National Marine Fisheries Service. This is not authorized by law. And they are way out of line. Unfortunately, I talked to the woman who's head of that agency, and she disagrees, and her regional representative is hell-bent to become the land use planning agency for Oregon, although, of course, Oregon already has comprehensive land use planning, unlike his home state of Washington, which was not subjected to these dramatic changes in law. So we're making it clear that that is not the authority of FEMA in this bill. That is a reasonable position. It's a bipartisan position. I thank my colleague for his help and my colleagues on the other side of the aisle for their help, and yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman from